All right, welcome to the podcast today about was it your website is rubbish. We have Paul Green as a guest speaker here. My name is Adam Walter. I'm with Humanize IT, also a managed services platform. Largely, we do these webinars as an education. We just want to make the world a little bit better, help people understand how to run their companies, and just get general knowledge out there on how to grow your MSP, how to mature as a company, and how to move forward. If you want our advertising, head to our YouTube channel, head to our LinkedIn page, you get all the ads you want there and get put into our drip campaigns. But here, you're here to learn. So Paul, tell me a little bit about your company, what you guys do.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. So my name is Paul Green. I'm an MSP marketing expert, and our core thing that we do is called the Msp Marketing Edge. So we work with around about 650 MSPs all over the world. We've got around about half of our members are in the US and the rest in the UK and around the world. And every month we give them marketing material, marketing support, everything they need to do their marketing. And we only work with one MSP per area. And that's why I'm so delighted to be here talking about websites, because when we have a new member coming on board, one of the first questions they ask is, what should I fix first? Most MSPs don't do any marketing, or any marketing they do isn't very good. What do I fix first? And the answer 99 times out of 100 is fix your website. Because if your website is bad, if it's trash, if it just doesn't work, then a lot of your other marketing is going to be diluted down. So for any MSP watching this right now, if you're not reasonably happy with your website, because no one ever gets to being 100% happy, but if you're not reasonably happy, take action on the things we're going to talk about today to get your website fixed.
You can be 100% happy with your website. Just turn it off and say, I don't want a website.
But then you kind of like, does my business even exist? It's like, you know, that question of if a tree falls down in the woods and no one hears it, did the tree fall down? If your business doesn't have a website, does it exist?
Are you familiar with the movie The Jerk?
I think I've seen. Is that Adam Sandler?
No, way older. No. He's there and he's gets the phone book and it's like, I'm somebody now. I'm in this. Millions of people read this book every day because he's in the phone book finally. It's kind of like the way I feel with a website. Everybody's got a website. If you don't have a website, are you a real person? Like, exactly. I have a personal website I've been running since my wedding back in 2004. It's now my email domain, and my kids use it to use for their personal emails. Little they know, I am the
in control.
My kids are unfortunate that they have a tech dad. So, I want to open up a little bit by saying, like, I was not a believer in websites when I first started my business. To me, they were just a money dump. It was something you had to have. And no leads come through websites. No one goes to websites anymore. It's all social media, and I gotta say, over the last 2 years, we're a HubSpot shop. I have been proven absolutely wrong that leads definitely come through your website. Leads definitely matter. The reason people don't get leads previously is because they did it wrong. And so you have to think of this. It's like, if you're not getting leads through your website, there's something broken there.
Yeah,
because you can do it. And we get our best leads through our website. If somebody comes in through our website, it means they're looking for our kind of services. It means that they're prepared mentally to purchase. And now they just need to know, what is it we do, and does it match what they have? And if you aren't getting those kinds of leads, they are so great. So I'm going to ask you, Paul, my first question here is, what is wrong with MSP websites? Also, if anybody wants to have their website torn apart during our interactive portion of this webinar, post your website in the chat, and I will select one or two, and we will tear them apart live here in about 20 minutes.
Well, let me give the caveat. We will tear them apart and be a little bit savage, but then we will build them back. And so your reward for volunteering your URL is, we will literally give you, between myself and Adam, the 5 to 10 things that are going to make your website better. And let's define what better means. Better means generates more leads. Because I think you're right, Adam. That's what the purpose of the website is. It's to generate leads. But there's a whole series of things that need to happen as people look at your website in order to get those leads generated. It's areas around engagement, it's areas around authority, it's areas around trust. And you mentioned about how, you know, your website is there to generate leads, but websites kind of have multiple purposes. First of all, and I know we were joking about it, but genuinely, if you don't have a website, are you in business? You know, it's almost sending a message to the world that you are not open for business. The website is so important. I'll give you a real life example. I am having my house ripped apart right now by builders. So we're having like a major remodeling. You know, I'm actually speaking to you from my spare bedroom, and thank goodness I got my timing right. And I watched the builders. That's why I was looking over there. I watched the builders drive away a minute into our webinar, which is good because today they've been doing like drilling into concrete and creating noise. Now, the actual builders are great. It's a guy I know. He has a great reputation in the village I live. You know, I've seen some of his work in friends' houses, and I would highly, thoroughly recommend him. However, I have to keep my voice down in case he's outside the window. However, his website is the worst website you've ever seen. It literally, it's like a 2005 website. In fact, I suspect it is his first website from when he started up in 2005. And at the end of, because I'm a marketing guy, and even though I just work with MSPs, I'm not going to be able to stop myself at the end of this when the job's been finished and the house looks amazing, and I shake his hand and we go for a beer, and I'm going to say to him, Andy, we're now going to fix your website. Well, in fact, what we're going to do is we're going to take some of the video footage that I've taken throughout this build, and you're going to pay for a proper testimonial of me, and you can use my house, and that'll be my way of thanking you for doing a great job. And we're going to turn that into the start of your website. Because the problem is, if someone said to me, who's your builder? They've done a great job. I'd say, well, it's so-and-so and so-and-so. His website's a bit crap. His website's a bit rubbish. And that's not me being offensive. This is how people work. You see, every single human being on the planet who is of web age above, that's like age 7 and above, knows a good website, and more importantly, knows a bad website when they see it. It's not that we're web experts. It's just that we spend so much of our time on the web, we understand when something is bad. You know, like my daughter is only 11, but she was saying the other day about, I can't remember what website it was. It was something like Disney Plus, and how Disney Plus is just a little bit different to Netflix. And she found it easier to find, that was it, her watch list. She found it easier to find her watch list in Netflix compared to Disney Plus. Now, that's not a website. It is websites. It's an application. But that principle applies, that she just knows deep down, this is hard, this is easy. And, you know, even she as an 11-year-old could go and look at a website and say, hey, I don't know why, I can't put into words why this is bad, but this company doesn't seem a very good company. And people judge the book by the cover, and the website is the cover. This happens in bricks and mortar retail. You walk down the street, you see a shop, the sign's faded, the phone number's out of date, the windows are dirty, the light bulbs, some of the light bulbs are missing in the shop front.
That means the food's going to be excellent.
Yeah, it means I'm going to get food poisoning, or, you know, there's going to be terrible service, or it's going to be old fashioned. And actually, it could be the best shop or the best restaurant in the world, but we judge it by the cover.
Yep.
Pete, you probably are the best MSP on the planet at a technical level. You're probably brilliant at what you do. But if your website is a bit meh, which 95% of MSPs' websites are, then people will look at your website and make an instant emotional judgment, just like that. And it is an emotional one. Even experienced business buyers will look at it and go, oh, they're not the ones for us. Yep. And there are so many killers. So things that MSPs do on their websites: stock images, boring headlines, lack of engagement, lack of updating. I mean, if we can get a couple of URLs and just go through them, we will see these things.
Oh, we got some volunteers for you, Paul.
Okay. Well, this is where it gets real. And this is, I must have done 200-300 web critiques in the last 5 years for MSPs, because I do it for my members once a month. I'll do one, and I'll do them ad hoc, and I video them. And normally I take 30-40 minutes and we go into every page. But actually, you take any website, there are only really 2 pages that you need to focus most of your attention on. And that's the homepage and the About Us page, because these 2 are the selling pages. the people that are buying from you, so the ordinary business owners and managers who are buying technology, they don't know what they don't know. So, and I'm excluding selling co-managed IT to other internal IT people. That's a whole different marketing set. We're talking here about selling difficult technology to people who don't really understand it. And we've got to think like them. So, they come into your website and all of those crimes that I was just talking about, they're things that turn them off at an emotional level. Whereas you could be an awful MSP, actually really bad at what you're doing. And if you've got a great website, you're more likely to get more leads. Now, you won't keep the clients for more than that initial contract, but you will be better at winning clients. And the fixes are relatively easy.
Yeah, I gotta say, like when I get a new member or prospect come in, I immediately go to the website. Like, what kind of corporate culture is this? Who are they? Do they have, like, I have a graphic arts background, but I have a computer science degree, and so I'm a weird cookie in this world. So when I look at your website, I'm like, oh, that's Adobe stock. Okay, cool. I know that person. I've seen them about 100 times when I pull up Adobe stock. And then I scroll down and it's got the wide banner. And then I look for the about. Where are you at? Because I run a global company. I have clients from Australia all the way to Canada and a lot of UK. And I'm sitting there going, where are you located? So at least I can say in context, am I talking to somebody at 2 a.m.? Am I talking to somebody at 10 a.m.? What is it? But the point is that I should be able to glance at your page and get a feel for who you are versus just a generic person in a suit. So, and I love that when people have personality to their website, and it doesn't have to be fancy, it doesn't have to, but if I can look at your site and say, oh, that's the kind of person they are. Like when I work with a marketing company, one of the first things they ask me is, what kind of personality do I want to project? Do I want a stoic, very black tie look, or do I want a whimsical unicorns and rainbows look? Yeah. And there's a gamut in between there of how I can look and feel. So if you go to managedservicesplatform.com and look, I don't have an about page, or our about page is actually very awful, but we're in the process of a website revamp. And every time we redo a page, it's like, oh my gosh, that's so much better. And it's been like a 6-month process of us figuring out what to do, but we're noticing leads are starting to pick up, and we're starting to see more demos scheduled as people kind of get what we're trying to do. Whereas before, it was biggest complaint was people just didn't understand what we did. And as we revamped our website, it becomes clear, like, oh, now the testimonial video there, cool. That should be right up there. What kind of culture are you projecting is a very important thing. So what is something that these clients, these MSPs can do to change that? Like, what's like a great, like, stop doing this today, start doing that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Project who they are.
There are so many relatively quick wins.
I want the one thing. The guy's got a pencil ready and he's going.
Oh, okay. If it's one thing, one thing is to remember that people buy from people. So put people on the website. And by people, I don't mean Mr. Stock Image, that guy, the guy, as you say, you can reverse Google image search and find him on all the other websites. I mean you. Yep. I mean you and your technicians. If you've got technicians, if you haven't, it doesn't matter. Just use you. How can you put people? You can put people on the website in so many different ways. Great photos, videos, about us, stories. People, our brains are hardwired to respond better to stories than to facts. So tell me your story. Every MSP has a story, even if it's a boring one. Went to college, liked computers, started fixing them. Even that can be turned into an interesting story because you can embellish and enhance the story. Yeah. Actually, most MSPs I speak to have got a great story. They just don't use it. I was talking to a guy the other day. He's a veteran. And it's like he was doing things with computers in the army, I think, and did that for a long time, and then came and started his own business. I'm like, that's your story, man, because there's a massive chunk of your audience that will be more inclined to buy from you because you're a veteran, and that's where you got your 15, 20 years of experience. Make that your story. And show me a photo of your family, and show me a photo of you age 20, with your crew cut sat in a military base with a ZX Spectrum or whatever you've got. All of this is story. And sorry, all of this is people. So my biggest number one thing is people, 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 people. People think MSPs think it's about the logo and the design and the words, and all of those things have an importance. But if you had a really badly designed website that was full of people stuff, it will perform better than a really well-designed website that has less people stuff on it.
Yeah, and we did a podcast series, I think it was a year and a half ago, on relatability. And it's all about being relatable. Like, you have to put a story up there so that somebody reads a site and goes, hey, I'm a veteran too, or hey, I went to that same college, or I have a similar background where I struggled and kind of overcame some odds and formed a company. When you become relatable, you get loyalty. You also get people to overlook a multitude of sins, which is fine, but you want to have that relatability. You don't want to be that cold, dark IT guy. Maybe that's your culture. Maybe that's what you want to project. You want to be that guy wearing a hoodie in his basement, like twiddling his thumbs and fingers and being all sinister. And that's the image you want to project because you're in cybersecurity. But for most of us, we want these small business owners and these medium business owners to go, look, I know that guy. That I could go out for a pint with that guy.
Yeah.
And that becomes something fantastic that sells your MSP. You look at it and think, I am like that person. I can join that group. Our website has a testimonial video where we put other MSPs up there just telling their story and their journey. Yeah. We tell our journey so that you can relate.
Let me tell you, Adam, the psychology, and I know you know this, but let me tell you the psychology of why this well, you probably do. You know lots of stuff. Let me tell you the psychology of why this works. In our brains, even though we're here in 2022, the programming of our brain, the software of our brain is actually 0022. So we have 2,000-year-old software that's driving our brains. So what I mean by that is we are still programmed to act in certain ways. And if you look at a whole lot of modern behavior, you can understand that we are using the thinking part of our brain to fight against natural programming. So for example, 2,000 years ago, we didn't have laws, police, and consequences. If you fell out with another caveman 2,000 years ago over whatever, a bit of dinosaur or a potential mate, you had a fight, you killed the other guy, and that's it. Everyone just went back to their fire, and that was it. There's no laws, there's no consequence. And so our brain was programmed 2,000 years ago to avoid conflict, because you think there was no medicine back then. A relatively minor injury could kill him, would kill him. So you think about you're meeting someone today, and you're talking to someone, and even you think about our habit of shaking hands with people, which has come back now post-COVID. We're touching strangers again, and all of that whole eye contact and that how someone makes you feel, that gut feel, that's your 2,000-year-old programming trying to keep you alive. I've just realized 2,000 years ago we weren't living in caves, but you get the idea. 20,000 years ago we were living in cave. It's the same programming. So that's your programming keeping you alive. That whole thing of instantly making a gut feeling about someone. Is this a good person or is this a bad person? We do that because it helps to protect us. And it's exactly the same with marketing today. The reason you wouldn't want to have a photo of you with your arms folded like this, or with a hoodie on, looking like you're going to hit someone with a baseball bat, is because that sends a message to the other person that's looking at your photo that this is a bad person. This is not someone I can trust. This is someone who's going to hurt me. And remember, none of this is happening cognitively. All of this is happening in what's known as the limbic system. It's your emotions. That gut feel is the thing that keeps you alive. These days, we don't need it as much, so we've learned to stop trusting it. But it still has a massive influence on us and a massive sway on us. Big, friendly smiles. This is why video is so critical. The power of a webinar like this, or watching a video like this, it's a power. It's 1,000 times more communicative than just a photo of us could be. I love seeing videos on MSP's websites, but videos, photos, smile, show me your family, show me the street that you live in, show me your people, make yourself relevant. You mentioned relatability. The other R is relevance. The more relevant you are, the more relatable you are, the better it is for the other person's brain. And in fact, there's another part of the brain. So just to move on to one final thing, Adam, I know I talk a lot, big, long answers. When we meet someone or when we receive a new piece of information for the first time, it goes through a filter in our brain called the reticular activating system. And the reticular activating system has lots of different functions, but one of its most critical functions from a marketing point of view is it acts as a relevance filter. So if you see, let's say you've reached that point, you're a prospect, you've reached that point where you're fed up of your incumbent MSP, you're thinking of switching to someone else, and you go and look at 10 websites, and 7 of them you go on, you just don't think much about it, you hit the back button and go into something else because it didn't grab your attention as either being relevant or relatable. Whereas they come onto your website and there's a photo of you and it mentions the city name or the county name or something up at the top, and there's a photo, there's the local icon in your town, that building or that place that all the locals know, there's a photo of it. In fact, there's a photo of you there. Instantly, that seems more relevant. Instantly, you seem more relatable because suddenly you're just like them. People like to buy from people like them. So you show them the things, you show them other people like them. This is why testimonials work. Adam, on your website, you have a video testimonial of an MSP. So other MSPs look at that and think, hey, that guy's just like me. And therefore that makes managed services platform a much safer proposition.
Yeah, and if you look at my backgrounds here, Prince, I put a lot of effort into my video and audio setup. We've got an entire series on Your Audio Sucks, by the way, if you ever want to watch our YouTube channel or our podcast. Shameless plugs here. It's just that I'm lazy and don't like repeating myself. So if you need to learn some of these things, maybe I'll put them in cards at the top of the YouTube video. I'm looking to get a marketing intern, some high schooler who can put all the cards in and do all the fancy stuff to make the thing more relatable. But if you look at my backgrounds, these are all places I've been. These are like my vacations. Like this is a vacation trip I took last year with my kids, drove all the way to Grand Canyon. It was a great road trip. And sometimes I can see that you guys are kind of nodding off in the background. So I do a really relatable video. I don't think Paul's ever seen this one, but this is like the 2-year anniversary of this video. So I throw this video up of my son being absolutely dumb and us recording it. We all know what's going on here. And the audio is hilarious because mom can hear what we're doing downstairs. And his uncle and I are sitting there watching this. And yeah, we're not going to stop it because of hilarity. So this is a relatable scene and a relatable background. And these are things that we're doing for making people identify with who we are. Like, oh yeah, my son loves to ride down in baskets down the stairs. Now we have something in common. Or you might see a scene in the background. Like I've got a Teton one. I've got when I go to the zoo, I've got all sorts of videos for my background. I've got Star Wars backgrounds. And so that when we're sitting here, we're relating to each other in another way. If you come into Lincoln, Nebraska, I'll buy you a pint. I'll take you to my favorite whiskey joint. We'll get cigars. Do something that you enjoy so people can help that. We're looking at putting together a booth. Paul, maybe I'll have you help me out with this. For the ConnectWise events, where we want to create a booth that's all about an engagement. And so we're going to have borrow chairs from the hotel and just set up this area and have the mini bar sitting next to our booth. Be like, hey, we'll buy you a drink, come in, sit down, relax, no sales. We're just going to talk. And just having that relatability. So I think more MSPs should do that. We have a great question over here though. Like, when is the stopping line for what is too much information on your website? This is very relevant because to what we're talking about right now, because relatability can get swallowed up with information overload. Sure. And in about 4 minutes here, we're going to look at our first website. So, but let's answer that question. When do we know we have too much information?
Yeah, I've got a short answer to that one. And the answer is there is no such thing as too much information on a website. What there is disorganization of that information. Very quick read suggestion for you. This is a book called They Ask You Answer by Marcus Sheridan. And this is the long-term marketing strategy for every MSP. I'll give you the book in 60 seconds. So the author had a swimming pool installation company somewhere in the US, and that company was about to go bust back in the sort of 2007, 2008 crash. and that it was just costing them so much money to get a lead and to turn it into an actual sale that they were losing money. And he decided to switch off all their Google ads, all of their outbound, and switch entirely to an inbound traffic strategy. And the way he did it was, he was the sales guy. He was the owner and the sales guy. Every day, he would take a common question that he would get from the prospects that he was sitting with, and he would turn that into a long form piece of content for his website. I mean, some of those articles are like 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 words long, which you ask any web marketing expert and they'd have an aneurysm at the thought of your web page being that long. But he just kept doing this day and night, day and night. And what happened over a period of time, it took some time, was they started to get inbound inquiries of people from out of the state, which was a challenge for them, but people from all over, in fact, all over the world eventually, who were Googling the questions about swimming pool installations they had. They were Googling the fears they had, and his website was delivering the answers. Hence the title, They Ask You Answer. And cut a long story short, the outcome of it is it changed that business so much that they have now become a distributor. They make their own swimming pools. They have a distributor network. He launched a marketing agency off the back of it. This is a brilliant book, and it basically gives you the answer of and whoever asked that question, please go and read that book. I know that's not the 10-second answer you're looking for, but it will help you to understand that if you were to go onto his swimming pool company, is still going. It's still got, say, it's a distributor now. Still got the same website. They must have 2,000-3,000 pages. They must have billions of words, if not millions and millions, hundreds of millions of words. But it's just organized really well, and it's organized around the questions that people ask. Now, you know, if anyone who's been selling managed services for more than 10 minutes knows that most prospects ask the same questions time and time again. And certainly during QBRs or strategic reviews, you know, you know this, Adam, they ask the same things come up time and time and time again. So the answer to, well, what content should I be putting on my website, is actually answered for you by your clients and your prospects, and the routine questions that they ask on a daily, weekly basis.
Yeah, and there's a follow-up question I'll answer here is like, how much personal information is too much? And in my opinion, like, I mean, don't cross the line to inappropriateness, but the cool thing is the more of your story you tell in an organized way, the better. So like, maybe you have a personal podcast where you talk about like I adopted all my kids. I had a long blog I had for a while there where I would talk through the process of adoption. Link it from your site. Hey, you want to know more about me? Go check out my blog. Go check out this. Go check out that. Don't like just throw it all up front, but give them the option to go to your organized area and learn more about who this person is. Maybe you get a new subscriber to your blog or your video series or whatever it is that you do as a fun thing on site. Maybe you are a woodworker. I like to turn wood. It's something I've gotten into. And, you know, maybe someday I'll have an Etsy store or something to offload all the things I've created, but having that link, so it tells a story about who you are and gives that fuller picture. But don't just wham, throw it up front. Put it in a way that's digestible, that people can see. And if they want to know more, they can, but it's available so you can tell your story. So we actually have several volunteers here. I'm going to go ahead and share the results from the poll. Looks like several of you answered. We have, most people are doing their website for lead generation, it looks like, Paul, and a couple for service brochure, kind of telling what they do. So I'm going to do is I'm going to change my screen share here so Paul can rip apart a site here. The first one up is, looks like Intertech, or yeah, Internet Tech. All right, give me a second. All right, am I sharing my screen?
Yes, you are. Yes, I can't see. Oh, there we go. There we go. Internet. Okay, so
give me 5 minutes on this one, and we'll move to the next website.
Okay, so I'm just going to hit you with things that I've got that I instantly see. The first thing, and I haven't come across this site before. The first thing is both you and I have just struggled to say the name of the company. So that I very rarely suggest company name changes, but that might just be something worth looking at. Just pop back up to the top for me, Adam. So the next thing is you've got to look at, and in fact, we don't need to scroll down any further because there's about 20 lessons just in this screen. So what we see here, and remembering that many website visits are actually happening with these things and less so on desktops. But what we see here is you've got to assume that what they see before they scroll is the thing that's going to engage them or disengage them. So the line at the bottom where we see, so just below some text there, that line is called the fold. And on, if you think back to when shops used to sell newspapers back in the 1970s, they'd get the newspaper and they would fold it over and put it on the countertop. And anything that was above the fold of the newspaper would sell the newspaper. That's why headlines go at the top. And it sounds ridiculous, but that's the reason why. And anything that was below the fold couldn't sell the newspaper. So on a website, the line, and it will change according to screen size, but that line, when you first come into the site, before you scroll down, that is known as the fold. And what we've got here is we've got a ton of stuff above the fold that doesn't actually make any difference whatsoever to our lives. It doesn't encourage us to go down. So we've got some good things. You know, we've got the logo, we've got a very simple navigation, which is great. We've got the word Louisville, which is great because that's a little bit of relevance. And we've got a kind of I can't quite see the paragraph at the bottom because you're in front of it, Adam. Oh, thank you. Okay, so there's not much else to see. So there's kind of a paragraph of what I call drizzle. This is not meant to be offensive. It's drizzle, and it doesn't say anything. It's just some words. But if you scroll back up, Adam, then the biggest thing we've got is the dude doing his tie up, and that's not a real. Every human on the planet knows that's a stock image. And look at the size of it. It's bigger. It's bigger than you, Adam. That photo is absolutely enormous right now. So we're taking up all of this real estate with this picture, which is it just does nothing. Adam, you tell me what would be a better picture in that space. We can't hear you, by the way. You're muted.
I'd love to see a picture of the team.
Yes, that's the answer. Show me a picture of the owner, or better still, a picture of the team. And you know what? You could use half of that space, shrink that down, because the other thing is then we want to see a hint of what's below. If we want to get someone to go down below the fold, we've got to see a hint of what's below. And as we've seen, actually what's below is just more stock images. But in fact, the thing that would be best to see next would be a testimonial. Perhaps a video testimonial from a client, and we should see that sort of jutting up. If you shrank that image down in both width and height, so you've got an image of the team, a headline that grabs a bit more attention than just sort of saying what they do, which is Louisville IT sport experts, and then you could just start to see the top of a video. So it's really obvious. I wouldn't be able to stop myself from scrolling down and just pressing play on that video. I
think my favorite thing I see people do is go find a stay-at-home photographer, whatever, find somebody who's a photographer and who has a good eye, and do a fun picture with your IT team that encapsulates the image. If you want to be more of a whimsical, hey, we're a fun-loving group, show all of you sitting around a table drinking a pint.
Yes.
Show you guys doing something, standing out in front of your building, your location, and doing it in kind of a nice HDR format that looks really nice and is engaging. Have them take a couple pictures, give them a couple $100 and tell them, hey, can you take some great pictures of our team that we can throw up on the site? And so what we want to have is we want to have that feel there. And somebody's asking about a great website example, if you've got one, Paul. Having that picture, and I can't think of one off the top of my head, of where they have the support team there. My site isn't great, but there's purpose to it. So let me just show you.
I have got one to tell you about, and I tell you my reservation. There is no such thing as the perfect website. It's an MSP's website. It's great for a number of different reasons, but also it has faults. And actually, when I have a video training course I give to my members on great websites, and we split here are the examples, the 5 or 10 examples over about 5 or 10 different websites, because it's very hard to get all of those things right in one. Let me tell you what makes this one good. I like your headline. although the headline is too much about you and it should be about me, the prospect. You're getting a free website review now, Adam. I love the video in the background. So the video obviously is what you do, and although that's not completely clear, the movement in that makes it a little bit more dynamic. Also, your call to action button is awesome. You see that blue button at the top, request demo. If I'd asked Adam before, what's the number one thing you want out of someone visiting this website, Adam would say, I want someone requesting a demo. And so that's the call to action. And it should be the same on for a, see, we've got here a yellow, what does that say?
It's a phone number.
Oh, it's a phone number. Okay. So actually, now that's interesting. It's 2022. Picking up the phone is the last contact option.
You call me, I'm not answering.
Exactly. Yeah. And you know what?
This, like, you're old fashioned.
Yeah.
Call us, we will pick up our phone. That fanatical support, that could be your thing.
Exactly. Who buys over the phone these days? Now, I know that they've got to have what we sell is a bespoke, what MSP sell is a bespoke solution. But at the initial point of entry, no one wants to talk to you on the phone. They will book. In fact, the ultimate call to action on an MSP's website is your live calendar embedded. So go use calendly.com. If you must, use Microsoft Bookings because it's part of 365, but have it there that they can book a 10 to 15 minute, no obligation discussion with you. And it should only be that short, because actually, if they're a good prospect, they'll be on that call for 30 minutes. But you'll only get the hottest prospects booking that. It almost, weeds out the bad prospects.
If you are not using Calendly, guys, you are missing out. That does not mean that your client gets your calendar. Yeah, you don't see any meetings from me because I'm on vacation next week, people. But anyways, the book now, this will come up and your available slots will be there. And you can then book a meeting based upon your openings right there. That is a very human touch. We get a lot of bookings that way. And so, yeah, using Calendly, fantastic tool, and it's dirt cheap. So there is Microsoft Bookings in 365, but Calendly just works. You've got a great deal of control over it. It's great. Bookings is a little bit ugly. It's a classic Microsoft product that they've copied, or they've done their own version of something else, and they've only done it at 80% as good as the market leader. Which is slightly controversial, but that's my view of many Microsoft products, not all of them. And I think Calendly is worth, it's 10, 20 bucks a month. It's not a huge amount of money. All right. I want to move us over to Real IT Care. Give these guys a little feedback here. And then if you have a site that you want to show us, maybe we can get to that next.
I will. Okay. So let's have a look here. So some stuff I like. Do you know, I kind of like the image, even though it's a stock image, it's a more relatable image, which is doing IT on the beach. However, I think for most people, doing work, most people won't see that as doing IT. They'll see that as doing work on the beach, which is everyone's idea of hell. No one actually. Do you want to work on vacation next week, Adam? No, of course you don't.
I'm taking my laptop with me just to rub it into Skip. That I'm on the beach.
Why not? So I like it, but do you know what? I'd rather see a picture of the team. I'd rather see a picture of the team with a local backdrop there. The call to action
on the beach would be great.
Do you know? Well, team on the beach, if the beach is relevant to this. It's like I live in England, and I'm literally in the point in England where we are the furthest from the beach in every direction.
Hey, I'm in the only double landlocked state in the world, I believe.
Yeah, so it would be completely irrelevant to you, wouldn't it? So, and obviously we don't know where this is. Just pop back up for me.
And my theme is ocean.
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay, they've got, so what we've got here at the top is called a slider. Sliders are a little bit 2012. Doesn't mean you've got to get it off your website now, but if you're having a new website done, that whole thing of an image that changes, that's just not current. It's one of those small design trends that changes over time. So I'm guessing from the focus on the ocean and the sea and the beach that this is an ocean based business, so it's near the ocean. So, but people would be better. Real people would be better.
I really want to go and learn more about why the ocean. I want to know the story there. What you're bringing up, I want to know the relatability here. Like, why all the ocean? Are these?
But you and I are having a conversation that the prospect won't. And that's the hard thing with websites. We as the owners obsess over every tiny little detail of our website. Like there's a really cool effect at the top of this. If you scroll up, Adam, like look at the white bar at the top, that kind of cut out thing. All the pictures go underneath it. If you scroll down the page, do you see how cool that is? That's a really cool effect.
I do that on my site.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what it's called because it's cool to us, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't win you, doesn't win you any clients. No one's sitting there rubbing their thighs going, wow, it's a really cool effect. It is what it is.
It keeps your demo button up at the top is what we use it for. Your demo button is always viewed, is always available.
Yeah, it's a persistent, it's called a persistent something or something like that.
Yep.
The point being, the owner of this site could have sat and hard coded that, in HTML, in Cold Fusion or Microsoft Front Page. Wow. Over 10 nights. It doesn't matter. We obsess over all of these elements, whereas the average person comes in. In fact, the average person would come in, look at this and go, oh, it's some kind of scuba diving site. I got that wrong, and hit the back button because they're looking for IT. They're looking for IT, and it's so easy to overthink what ordinary people think, and they don't think, they just act on feelings. They just act on feelings. So there's lots of stuff that's good in this. The good call to action with the number at the top. I think the headline's really weak. Welcome to real IT care. A better headline would be 1,058 people in town name trust us to keep their business running every day. And that number is actually the number of users that you support. Yeah. We don't use the word users because a user is a horrible word. But we say 1,058 people trust us to keep their business running, and it's a completely accurate figure. But there's an implication there that that you're a much bigger business than you are, which is a good thing.
I think with real IT care, looking at this, just stripping it apart from a marketing brain standpoint, is that why are you real IT care? Distinguish yourself. So if you're like a question at the top, are you tired of generic IT services that don't care about you? We are here to help and make that relatable. Why real IT care right up top? So, what makes you different? So right now, every MSP can say this. What about you? And so those 1,024 people in New Jersey that trust you, pick you because you're relatable. You actually care about them. And maybe these pictures here are real pictures from your local town that people say, oh, these guys, I get it. They're not just a generic computer company. They actually care. They're actually involved. You show a service project you did in a local area, or do something that makes it relatable. So why real IT? It's immediately answered right here.
Yes. Let me give you a website. I've just checked that the website hasn't changed since I last looked at it, but let me give you a website to go and look at. So it's a UK MSP. And it's Compex. So this is my one criticism of this business, not complex with an L, but Compex. So it's COMPEXIT.co.uk. So these are some of my members here in the UK. It's Mark and Gary. They've been members of ours for it must be 4.5, 5 years. And this is not the perfect website. Please do not think I'm saying this is perfect, but there are lots of things to like on this. Instantly, look at this, people. So that's Mark. The other guy was Gary. And these are the two owners of the business. They are not the only the only people in the business. They have staff. But look at that. More than 85 businesses in Birmingham trust us every day. So Birmingham is their city. It's the second or third biggest city in the UK. And we're seeing them instantly. And this, by the way, is what they look like in real life. And that's really important. This is not a 10-year-old photo of them. This is how they look. Then there's a great headline there, which is aimed at the prospect. Complete IT peace of mind for business owners and managers in Birmingham and the West Midlands, which is like the wider area. And then if you scroll down a little bit for me. And then there's another photo of Gary and Mark. And just scroll down a little bit more for me, Adam. Just want to show the good things. So we've got a call to action there with Mark on the green button. What would be better, and I will be emailing this to Mark later, is his live calendar there on the page. So he could actually move all of that text over to the left and put the live calendar on the right, because the right is the place you put your call to actions, because that's how we read from left to right. Then you look at this guarantee, the love us or leave us guarantee. Let me explain this, because I know this came from something I suggested to Mark. Every MSP has a hidden, an invisible guarantee. So imagine you have a new client and everything goes wrong. So you get the client, the onboarding takes 9 months. Everything seems to be wrong. You and the client don't click. You guys screw up. They're not, it's just wrong. And you get several months down the line, and you and the client talk, and they say, look, we're not happy. This is wrong. That's wrong. And you would say to them, do you know what? You're right. We've screwed up. We didn't quite click. We're not going to hold you to your contract. Every single MSP, unless they were so desperate for revenue that they would sell their own mother, every MSP would get rid of a bad client. Yeah. Because bad clients are toxic. We all know it. So that's actually an invisible guarantee. Someone comes into contract with you and they're not utterly happy, then you can go. The reality is they'll offer this guarantee to 100 clients. In fact, look at the detail. Look, if I'm going to read this out because this is so cool. If you and your team aren't ecstatic about choosing us anytime during your first 6 months, simply let us know. We'll refund your entire initial investment back immediately. Plus, we'll pay you an additional £1,000, which is about $1,300, to say sorry for wasting your time. They will offer this to 100 clients. One of them will take it up. In fact, you know what? No one will take this up, because Mark, who does the sales in that business, will not take on a bad client. They are not desperate for clients. They are picking and choosing who they want to work with.
I think it's a really good point you're making there, is that your website should attract the kind of customers you want. So in our sales presentations, we always have something where we say, we're looking for the 5% of MSPs who get it. And those 5% are who we want. We every once in a while have somebody who just doesn't align with our culture. They want like this fully automated suite, and that's just not who we are. We're all about better conversations, about education and doing things. And we want to catch that person right up front. And your salesperson this is who we are. If you're not on board with this, then, there's plenty of other MSPs to choose from. Yes. We want the people that are going to align with us right off the bat, and we're going to love going into your office and working on things and making you happy, being part of your success story. Your site should help facilitate your salespeople in that conversation.
Oh, completely. Can I just flag up 2 more things which I think are valuable? If you just scroll back down again, Adam. Sure. The first one is just behind Adam's left shoulder. There is a live chat box. We're not going to click it. Because I think they use a managed service. So in the UK, there's a company called Moneypenny, for example. I don't know if it's them running this, but if we were to click on that chat, we would cost Mark and Gary some money. So we're not going to do that. But it's so that they don't have to be distracted by the chat box all the time. There's like an operator there 24 hours a day. Why live chat on your website? Well, there are upsides and downsides. The upside is it's 2022. We were saying earlier about like phoning people. If you want to talk to a friend, what do you do these days? You pick up your phone and you WhatsApp them. You don't phone them, or it's very rare for us to just phone friends just to say, "Hey mate, how are you?" The other thing, so live chat is that instant gratification, that instant messaging. The downside of live chat is you have to stop your existing clients from using it as a support function. The other thing I just want to flag up, I know you're looking at the About Us page here, which is so cool.
Somebody in the chat was calling it out.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay. If you just go back to the homepage, I just want to show the social proof. So the social proof is like testimonials, case studies, reviews. If you just scroll down again, Adam, the social proof down here is the best social proof ever in the world, because it's screenshots of real emails. So they sent out an email. Yeah, every single one. They sent out an email. It was literally a one line of, "Hey, we're looking for some testimonials for our website. Would you mind hitting reply, please, and telling us your experience with our business?" To existing clients. And then the Mark is a genius, followed by advice. These may be a little bit out of date now, because these are 2020. So these are actually perhaps slightly more relevant during the pandemic. So they perhaps need to be a little bit more updated. But he literally screenshotted the emails, blanked out things like email addresses and phone numbers, and testimonials. That you've got the hierarchy of social proof, which is a term that was coined by Robert Cialdini in 1984 in his book Influence. Social proof influences us because most people prefer to do what most other people are doing. This is the sheep part of our brain. It's a part of that 2,000-year-old programming again. It's safety in numbers. So if you see a video case study, that has more influence power than a written review on a separate platform like Facebook or Yelp or something like that, which has more power than a written testimonial on your website, because you can edit a testimonial, and people know you can edit a testimonial, but they know you cannot edit a Google review. You can leave a response to it, but you can't edit it. Now, the beauty of what Mark has done here is he has screenshotted testimonials, and because it is a screenshot and people can see it's an image, it's a screenshot of the email, right down to on some of those emails, they say, "Hey, Mark, yep, no problem. How's this?" It's real, it's authentic. And so because it's real and authentic, it has a much greater influence on the people that are viewing it, which is, of course, the prospects.
Oh, yeah. We're getting towards the end of the meeting here, and I apologize to the people we did not get to your sites. There were several of you who messaged in your site. So if you want like further review, I'm sure Paul would be happy to give you a one-on-one session or talk.
No, wouldn't. No, in the nicest possible way. That's
okay.
You're just committing me to 12 hours of website things. What I will do is we have if you don't mind me overruling you on that one, Adam.
Okay. Oh, you're good.
I'm a family man. I have an 11-year-old daughter who's just come back in from school.
She's going to review the thing. Cool.
Even for my members, we only do one website review a month because that's like an hour, sometimes a 90-minute commitment. What I will do is we have a Facebook group, which is completely free. It's only for MSPs. There's none of these horrible vendors like Adam in there. It's just for, that was a joke. It's just for MSPs. If you go and join that and you wanted to post your URL in that, then me and many of the other 1,600 MSPs in there will go and comment on it. So just go onto Facebook in your app, search for MSP Marketing, click on groups, and you'll see my little face, and punch your finger on my face. And there's just like a form to fill in to prove that you're an MSP.
Yeah. And if you want to post that link in the chat, I don't know if you have it open, that would be helpful. I know Skip's going to post your website in there so that you can grab it. And just with your websites, just think it through. Be that personable site. Be that site that is going to drive your customers, the right customers, to your desk. Go ahead and stop my share here so you guys don't have to look at my screen all day. Yes, and the number one question I always get is, how are you doing that? My setup is OBS. It is free. You can use it. You just have to spend a little time building it up and making it personable. And I do a lot of webinars. So the look of fear in your eyes. No. Hey, it's just trying to wrap things up here.
To prove we didn't rehearse it, eh?
Next time we'll rehearse before I throw you under the bus. But we have lots of things like this, like, going to our YouTube channel. Paul, do you have a YouTube channel that you
Yes, we do. Yep. youtube.com/MSP Marketing. We post 4 videos a week, or 3 videos a week at the moment. We're just about to go up to 4. Can I just very quickly answer a question from John Miller, who says OBS is great. It's a bit complex to work in at first. So I use a paid version of OBS, which I think is Mac specific because I'm a Mac boy, and it's called Ecamm Live. So I'm actually coming through a virtual camera right now, and I can do things like I can put a frame around me, and I can, bring up PowerPoint and all sorts of stuff like that. So it's very similar to OBS, but it's for non-technical people, which is why I use it.
There's a couple paid versions that have pre-built scenes in them. Like, I've got a Stream Deck, I've got a Rodecaster Pro. I mean, I've got the setup. Yeah. But for people just getting in, there's some great paid versions of OBS that are fantastic and easy to use. Check out Skip's putting a lot of links in here on the YouTube. I'll try to have cards put up here. I think I pointed in the right area. And you'll see the sites, like learn more about Paul, what he's doing, having somebody in your corner to help you say, oh, that's a dumb idea, you can do better, is always great for me personally. I like it when people call me and say, Adam, that was not good. I did not enjoy that. Or, hey, did you know your link was broken over here? Those are always great emails to get. And so there's so much more to know about why your website sucks. It may look pretty, it may be nice, but is it driving traffic? If the answer is no, you got to fix that. And It's a fairly cheap thing to do overall. I did have a question here. We never got to it. Was how much should you spend on your site? And how much should you be spending on market strategy for your site? That's a great question to ask. Maybe do it in Paul's Facebook group and say, how much are you guys spending on your site on a monthly basis? Because this is your first impression to your client. And I have this joke I usually tell in our member communities. I say, look, you'll spend, $1,500 on a suit. You'll spend $3,000 on your laptop, but you'll spend like $20 on your website. Which one matters more? And so put your money where it matters. Marketing is important. Putting your first step, your best step forward is important. And your website is going to do that. You guys have nice websites. They're very technical websites, but are they doing what you want them to do is the big question you need to be asking yourself at the end of the day. Paul, I'm looking for some parting thoughts here. You got about 3 minutes before we're ending this webinar.
Sure. Parting thoughts on websites is it seems difficult. It seems there's lots to do. Actually, just break it down into a series of small tasks and get the big wins done first. And you asked me around about 10, 20 minutes in, what's the big win? And I said people. So you gave a great suggestion, Adam, which was go find a photographer without much work. That's most photographers. Get them to do some really nice headshots of you and your team. Get the locale in the background, or sort of drop you in with Photoshop, just to get photos, videos, and text about people and humanize your website. And if you did that one thing alone, that's going to make a big difference. I think, people get so scared of their website because they don't know where to start. What you do now, it's just making it more human. And as Adam says, there's tons of advice available all over all of these great communities. But the most important thing is actually taking action on what is really your most important marketing tool.
Yep. And that the most important marketing tool is your website.
Yeah.
But more importantly, it's yourself. What your culture is, who you are, and what you bring to the table that other people don't. So thank you for coming on, Paul. I think this is a great webinar. I got a lot out of it. This is a great part about non-rehearsed and non-canned webinars is that I learned just as much as the rest of you guys do. And because I'm hosting, I get to ask the questions that I want answered. So again, reach out if you have any more questions. Join Paul's Facebook group. Reach out to Paul on his website. You can also reach out to anybody here at Humanize IT or a managed services platform. And we're glad to have you in the community. We do webinars every month. Check out the events page we have down there in the chat. And you can see that every month we have a webinar like this that you can join. Next month, I believe, is get a seat at the table. How do you get invited to the decision-making table? It's a passion project of mine. I don't know if I'll bring on a guest speaker or not, but it's something that I love talking about. And I founded my company on the principles of getting to that decision-making table and being part of a company's growth. Thanks, Paul, for coming on, and we'll see everyone later.